Good afternoon and welcome to the City Club of Portland Friday Forum. City Club is where we bring civic-minded people together to make Portland and Oregon a better place for everyone to live, work, and play. I'm Karen Curvin, President of City Club, and I would like to welcome members and guests alike, those of you who join us today at Sentinel, and those of you listening on OPB Radio or watching on Portland Community Media. The generous support of City Club's corporate and media partners ensures we put on the state's best civic programs week after week. I'd like to thank our media partner, Oregon Business Magazine, and our current Friday Forum sponsors, AARP, Barron Liebman, Iberdrola Renewables, Perkins Coie, Portland General Electric, and Providence Health and Services. We are grateful for your support and commitment to City Club's mission. Please join me in a warm round of applause for all of them. Please join us next week when we welcome Oregon State Treasurer Ted Wheeler, KKR Global Head of Public Affairs Ken Melman, and Georgetown University Center for Retirement Initiatives founder Kathleen Kennedy Townsend to discuss solutions to our retirement security crisis. On October 10th, we are partnering with OPB's Think Out Loud to bring you the gubernatorial debate between John Kitzhaber and Dennis Richardson. Please note the program will begin early that day at noon. Doors will open at 11:15. You can learn more about City Club events, purchase tickets, and become a member on our website, pdxcityclub.org. As always, City Club will be live tweeting at today's event. You can follow or mention us at PDX City Club, and be sure to follow the conversation by using the hashtag PDX City Club in your own tweets. Today's moderator, Jensina Larsen, will facilitate a Q&A session with the audience and our guests. Members, please come to the microphone to ask your question. For all of our audience members, please locate the index cards on the center of your tables and write your questions on them during the forum. Hold your cards up high and City Club staff will collect them prior to the start of Q&A. And now for our program. Jensina Larsen, founder of World Pulse, will be introducing us to three of the amazing women that her Portland-based organization has helped learn to harness digital communications technology to advocate, increase awareness, and build relationships with other women across the globe that share their concerns and can help advance their goals. Jampa was born in a small village in the Tibetan Plateau and is a poet and rising community leader. She wants to give voice to the invisible women of Tibet and empower young girls to pursue their dreams through education. Olanika hails from the beautiful and resource-abundant country of Nigeria, yet she has witnessed the environmental exploitation of her homeland. She believes the only way to ensure environmental security in Nigeria is to make sure that women have equal voice in these decisions. Inanna was born and raised in the Bronx and is an Afro-Dominican midwife and writer. She raises awareness about maternal and infant health for women here in the U.S., which has the worst maternal death rate among industrialized nations. She is dedicated to radically changing the conditions under which women of color are giving birth in the U.S. healthcare system. Please join me in welcoming today's guest to the stage.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Portland leaders. I'm very excited for this conversation we're about to have, in particular, not only to learn from issues that women are facing around the world and how they're using digital tools to create solutions to them, but also that the issues are so universal that many of them are actually here in our own backyard, whether that's in the United States, in the South Bronx, or whether that's here in Portland. And Portland is known as a beacon of sustainability, but I truly believe that we cannot have true global sustainability without the equal voice and the equal leadership of women. There's a woman from our global online community from Crimea, and she recently said, "A woman with a laptop can be more powerful than a man with a gun." And I founded World Pulse on the belief that we are living in a moment, a historical time, where we have the power to use digital communications to truly unlock the voices that are suppressed of so many countless women across the planet and connect them into a powerful force that can solve the global challenges that we face today. And after many years, I believe that World Pulse, we have begun to discover the design for how we can achieve this. And in fact, if we can achieve this, like my friend Irina from Crimea, I believe that this can be a more powerful force than war. So today we are going to hear from the subject matter experts themselves. These three women we're about to hear from truly are world leaders. And they are going to tell you their messages that they themselves have crafted that they want you to hear. Not only do they represent their own messages, their own issues, but they also are representatives of our entire global online community of World Pulse. It's a network of tens of thousands of women on the ground around the world from 190 countries who are today logging on, connecting, and speaking out on our online platform and literally changing the world. In fact, so many have gained confidence and gained connections that women attribute being on World Pulse to increasing their leadership impact, and today collectively impacting the lives of over 2 million people, whether they've gone on to gain confidence to run for office, whether they've gone on to start a business, or to create a program for women and girls. In addition, they also are representatives. They have gone through a digital empowerment training program for grassroots women leaders that we have created at World Pulse. It's an in-depth 5-month program where women literally are learning how to use digital tools to get their messages out to the world and how to grow their own leadership. And then through the training, which we have trained at this point in-depth over 120 women who have then gone on to train other women, bridging the digital divide, and they have trained over 3,000 women globally. Not only are we training, but we're also working to make these voices, these unheard voices, louder. And that means that we are also a bridge listening to the voices, but then channeling it to influential forums. We have been channeling women's solutions now to the State Department, to the United Nations, to the Internet Governance Forum on key issues ranging from girls' education to technology, to ensure that those voices are influencing policy so that they are more responsive. And this tour that we are on now, we've been in New York speaking to the Clinton Global Initiative, the Social Good Summit, and business leaders, philanthropists here in Portland, and then we are now next moving to Silicon Valley, where we will be talking to top technology firms, including Twitter, Facebook, and Google, in workshops to make sure their policies are more informed. So I'll introduce each woman who will speak for herself, and then we'll have a bit of a Q&A here. So I just want everyone to be aware that this is the first one, very courageous for them to speak. It can be nerve-wracking in front of large audiences like this, so I encourage you to just listen very, very deeply and hold this space sacred, if you will. So now I'll invite our speakers to speak for themselves, and Jampa, I'd love to invite you to introduce yourself and your vision.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shambal Hanto. I grew up in a very small village in Tibet. My mom is illiterate, but my dad has a primary education. My mom told me that she used to pray for a boy when she was pregnant with me. When I was a child, my parents, including my siblings, treated me as a boy because they hoped so much that I was born as a boy. And I would wear very short hair and would usually go with the boys and climb the trees because I got lots of praise. People would say, "Oh, you look like a boy." They meant a very high compliment. Most girls in my community, they would stay at home doing house chores and holding livestock and collecting yak dungs. However, even as a girl child, my parents believed in education and they took all the hard work and sent me to school. And I'm the first university student in my community. I would never take the precious opportunity of my education for granted because I know what exactly like otherwise. So I always see myself as a part of contribution to women and girls' education in my community. And my vision is to establish a vibrant learning space to educate women and girls and help them and encourage them to find their potentials and talent. As a further matter, I want to train women and girls to use computers and access to the internet so that they could have more opportunities for education, scholarship, jobs for a better life. So today, I'm most proud of is to have proved to people in my community that gay education is the foundation for bringing about positive changes in the society. I've done small-scale development projects such as solar panel, solar flashlight, second-hand clothing, and a literacy project that benefited hundreds of people in my community. And today, I can see there are more girls and more children at school. And people even see, even as a girl can do something that is beneficial to all. So I believe my work and my effort got recognized. And I got lots of positive reactions and feedback from a community. And that is exactly what it is to motivate me and to strengthen my beliefs and my visions. So I really want to inspire the women and girls in my community to dare to use the creative power of their minds. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jampa. That's one of my favorite quotes, dare to use the creative power of their minds, and you are doing that. Inanna, we'd love to hear from you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Inanna Jahudi. I was born and raised in the South Bronx, which is the poorest congressional district of the United States. I am an Afro-Dominicana, and I have been anxious my entire life. And part of the reason for that anxiety is having experienced sexual trauma as a child and most recently as a woman. Experiencing sexual trauma in my body has made me want to leave my body, has made me think of myself as dirty and impure and not deserving of being respected or worthy. Even though I had these feelings growing up and as a woman, I was still wildly curious about the vessel that carried the spirit. So when I went to college, I was able to admit to myself that I was depressed and anxious and that I was destroying myself. So I did everything that I could to learn about my body, my reproductive system, my health, and began to heal. And along the process of healing and learning so much about my body, I realized that I wanted to also share the information that I was learning with other women that looked like me and had the same experience as I have. As of last Sunday, I've graduated from my first year of midwifery school. And have received 36 babies in 365 days, and provided over 100 prenatal appointments to women on the border of Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, and El Paso, Texas. To date, I have written 2 books. My first book is about the Afro-Latina identity and speaking about the effects of internalized racism and oppression on the Afro-Latina identity and life. The United States has one of the worst rates of infant mortality and maternal mortality for women of color, whereas 1 in 7 white women die in childbirth, 1 in 4 Black women die in childbirth in this country. Infant mortality rates are double for our Black populations, and the ability to receive the prenatal care necessary and the care necessary during our reproductive life cycles is limited, and we lack it. Especially poverty expounds those difficulties. I'm also most proud of being able to serve as a mentor for younger women so that they can avoid so many of my own downfalls that took off a good amount of life from my years, and I'm glad I'm still alive here, being able to speak to you all today. My vision is to be able to create a sexual education curriculum for middle school and high school with women so that they can learn about their bodies and learn that they are worthy of care that is competent and that cares about them. In tandem, I would also like to create a website that has live streaming video and educational videos teaching women about their reproductive health, with diagrams and resources and books and writings and toolkits so that they may be able to educate and arm themselves with knowledge. What I really, really, really want to establish is a birth center and a wellness center for women of color in northern New Jersey, the Bronx, and the 5 boroughs of New York that is staffed by midwives who look like them and understand their story, understand the difficulties, and what it means to be a Black woman in the United States, that they are killing us effectively all of the time through childbirth, through not providing the services that we need. Recently, Sister Song and the National Institute for Latina Women Fighting for Reproductive Justice spoke to the UN, and the UN has recognized that the way that we treat women in this country in reproductive health is a human rights violation. It is a form of cruel and unusual punishment and torture. So this is a very serious problem, and it needs to end effective immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Inanna. That's a wake-up call. And I was just reading a headline yesterday that a woman is more likely to die in childbirth in the United States than in China at this point. Yeah. So it's very, very serious, and particularly for women of color. Olanike, share with us a bit about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Olanike Olugboji. I'm from Nigeria. I grew up in Kaduna City, northwestern region of Nigeria. As a child, at about age 5, I had an opportunity to visit the village with my family. And there I saw barefoot women and girls carrying heavy containers of water, walking over long distances under the scorching sun. Back at home for me and my family, all we needed to do was put on the tap to get ourselves a clean glass of water. At that young age, I came to a realization that there was disparity in the world. Over the years also, I've come to recognize that women, especially those at the grassroots, do not have a say in access and control over natural resources. I started out as an environmental activist in 2004. But because of my experience with what grassroots women face when it comes to accessing natural resources, in 2009, I founded the Women's Initiative for Sustainable Environment, WISE, that's the acronym. On the platform of WISE, I promote constructive environmental ideals by empowering women and girls with skills and information that will help them take on leadership roles in the natural resource sector, particularly as it concerns food security, water security, and climate change. To date, I've been able to impact over 1,000 women at the grassroots level in my country by creating opportunities for them to engage in environmental stewardship. As a result of a water sanitation and hygiene training I conducted for a group of grassroots women, they were able to build a biosand water filter. It's a low-cost water treatment technology. These women were able to build this biosand water filter, and they installed it in a village primary school. As a result of that effort, one of the women became a member of the traditional council of her village. I've also conducted digital training for women in my community. And then I am also one of 9 young Nigerians that was selected to be a part of a climate change movement championed by 350.org, a global climate change organization. I envision a world where women's voices are represented and where they can take on leadership in the natural resource sector. To ensure this and to contribute towards this, I would like to establish an ecological center where women can come and learn skills and also become more informed about environmental issues. I very much look forward to becoming the Minister of Environment in my country. And very much so, winning the Nobel Peace Prize for Environment. Thank you.
Woo. Those are powerful visions. I mean, can we just imagine living in a world where these visions are a reality? Sign me up for that. That's the world I want to live in. So, one of the first questions I'd like to ask is that we're all working on different issues, but technology is a common thread. And I'd just love to hear you speak about your own personal experience with using technology and how have you felt it's changed you, since we all have such different experiences. Does anyone want to start? Jampa? Yeah.
For me, digital technology is the first tool that I use to bring about positive changes in my community. And firstly, when I started coming online, I write proposals, and proposals are for issues that people face in my community, that they don't have electricity. And I wrote proposals of the solar panel, and I made connections through the internet. So I see the digital technology kind of enabled me to see possibilities and opportunities. And in addition, I can talk about my experiences online, World Pulse. The connections that we make are real. And World Pulse is a very powerful platform that allows us to express ourselves. So I've learned so much in connecting with these courageous and inspirational people, women across from the world. I've not only educated myself with the skills and all the issues, but also I've opened my own eyes by connecting with these people. For example, I've learned sexual harassment that women face in the Maldives, domestic violence that women face in India, and how women are praised and ruled what to wear and how to cover themselves in the Sudan. Disparities in the healthcare system in the United States for women of color, and war of breast ironing that women have to undergo in the Cameroon. So all these issues are not just happening in one place or one country, but these issues are emotionally contagious. We all experience the pain. Their sufferings is ours too. Therefore, we all come together. We have one thing that we have in common is we believe that we can combine our voices, amplify our voices to bring about change for this cause. So therefore, I think digital technology allows us to have a space to come together, to talk about the issues that really matter for all of us, and to have solutions for this. Yeah, thank you.
Inanna, what about you? What's your personal experience, and what do you see as the potential for technology to make a difference on the issues you care about?
I have been online since high school because I wanted to make someone else feel less alone because I felt so alone in my life. So as a writer, I've been a writer since I was 7. I've just shared my story and shared my pain and shared as much as I could just so that somebody else, even just one other person, could feel heard. And so the internet for me has been a way to feel connected to other people. And I'm from New York, and there's 8 million people in the city. So it's pretty unusual or even strange to think that someone could feel so alone in a city of full so many people. So my journey online has been to empower other people to use their voice and to connect and to heal as a healing force. And so being online, especially through my experience with World Pulse, I started to realize that I had to be very mindful of the way that I shared my story because I knew more people were listening, and it could be the difference between someone reading a rant and someone reading, this is how I feel and this is how I healed from it. And I totally and completely believe that you have the same power. Now at this height of the game where all the issues that I have mentioned about reproductive health and maternal health, I believe that the internet and digital technology should be the meeting ground. And then we need to get offline and get on the ground and do something. So that's where I am at with digital technology. It needs to be a way where I connect, oh, you're in Portland, you're in New York City, great, let's meet in a coffee shop. And then after that, let's go to a protest.
Yeah, I love that insight of how they interface and that how the online can feel the offline, how the offline can feel the online and grow the wave. Olanike, how about you?
For me, my first experience and understanding of what having access to the internet is all about was checking my emails and sending out emails. But in 2005, I received an email from an organization in the US, it's now a rested organization, the Women's Global Green Action Network. They launched a search for grassroots women advocates working on issues of environmental justice and, different issues related to the environment. And when I received that email, it was like, so I can, someone somewhere who I don't know can find me. And it was my first kind of exposure to the possibilities that happen online. After that experience, I started searching for information online, getting myself more informed. And then also in 2008, I also came across an opportunity online that required submitting a joint application to attend the first African Women and Water Conference. I submitted an application and I was selected alongside a grassroots woman in my community. And we attended that conference and we were able to learn new skills and take it back to our community. And that's how also we came about the biosand water filter technology. So I'll say where I am with technology is that I've moved from, it's just been a personal thing to something I can use to bring about change in my community, which I am already doing. And in 2013, last year, I was selected amongst 31 correspondents from around the world by World Pulse. I went through a 6-month digital online training, and I never forget the 5th assignment, which required us to, it's called Each One Teach 5. We were expected to go back to our community and transfer the knowledge and skills we had gained in the course of the 6 months training. So I went back and I reached out to 10 women in my community. And at the end of the day, I had 15 women and several apologies from other women who had heard about the training and could not make it. It was supposed to be a one-day thing. But I discovered that these women were at various levels of understanding and touch with digital tools. So a one-day training became like a 6 weeks activity. And these women will not let me go because they were really very hungry. And that is why my work now revolves around how I can use digital technology to change the situation of women in my community.
So my next question is, it's about the challenges that you face. And this is, obviously, you're moving mountains. You're making these visions happen no matter what, but it's hard work. And there's a lot of struggles that you face, a lot of barriers, whether it's the technology barriers or other barriers. And I just love to hear you each speak about what are the biggest challenges you face. And since World Pulse is a point of connection, how can U.S. audiences or audiences here connect with you to support the work that you're doing?
Growing up in a very culturally confining, I would say, environment, where we have a very limited resources to access to information, education. So it's very challenging and difficult. One of the most overwhelming barriers that holding women back, women and girls back from access to online is the culturally or socially constructed beliefs in my community that women and girls are supposed to be at home doing house chores. But it's very unusual for a girl goes to internet cafe. So, and every time when I go to internet cafe, I would always feel eyes on me because people would stare. It's unusual because a girl, you are just a girl going to the internet cafe.
About an internet cafe, in
Yeah,
case
cafe, yes,
people didn't
internet
understand
cafe.
that. Yes.
So one of the reasons also could be people don't have a profound skills and experiences of using internet, and they don't know the benefit of using internet. So when I go to the internet cafe, I see there are lots of boys, but what they are doing is they're playing games. So their parents don't want their children go to internet cafe because they really don't see internet cafe as a learning space. So that's very challenging, and I think if we have more resources and we have accessible programs for training center that people at least know the benefit of using internet and they know how to use the internet. So I think that can make a change, make a difference.
In my community, a lot of the women have access to the internet through their mobile phones or at home. It's becoming a little more accessible, but because of the poverty that women live in my community, it's not widespread. And we also don't have a lot of training and guidance around how to use the internet intentionally. Social media is great, but there is a lot more resources there that can be used in a positive way to help educate more women and men. One of the challenges that I find is lack of resources and the institutionalized racism that is experienced in healthcare provider settings and just in many settings, period. And capitalism. We have a capitalist problem in this country. And I challenge US audiences, one of my challenges is to recognize that if you are higher up on the ladder, somebody else is not eating. That is one. And two, to be able to carry out what I would like to do, I need money. And I think that that's very real. Like, we don't think about money and capital as a way to oppress or to take away somebody's next meal ticket or their ability to own property and to own their own self-determination. And so I need ways to write a business plan and web designers and advisors to help me find the funding that I need to provide the services I need. And to help me understand how to speak to healthcare professionals and legislators to be able to carry out these changes. That's what I would need support around to be able to carry out my mission.
Thank you. Olanike?
Right now, where we are in my community, regardless of the statistics that the agency responsible for information and communication technology in Nigeria flaunts all over the place to say that maybe you have like about 60–70% of Nigerians who have access. I think those statistics don't tell the truth, because it appears that those at the grassroots are never considered when it comes to what they are talking about in terms of access. Because I've been to communities, for example, I shared about a community I visited in the course of holding a workshop on biotechnology. When we got to that community, we had about 118 participants at the workshop. And there were just 12 women at that event. And it is amazing that these women were kept in one small room while the men, were given all the seats at the space provided for the event. So it just occurred to me that, these women are just left out on their own. And because of my experience with what digital tools mean, having access, I said, okay, maybe I could just collect the phone numbers of these women. It will be one way of staying in touch with them and knowing, how they are progressing, and to also make sure that they are carried along, in all the activities around the technology workshop. So I went into the small space where the women were kept, and I was able to interact with every one of them. I asked how many of them had phones, and only 3 signaled that they had phones. The first one I met, I asked her for her phone number, and she didn't even know how to. She didn't have it by heart, and she told me it was in her phone, and she couldn't even, scroll, go to the menu, then retrieve that number from the phone. So I did that for her. The second one could tell me her phone number off heart, and then there was this third woman who had a phone that had no SIM in it. It wasn't working. So I didn't want to embarrass her. When I asked her about her phone number, she said I should retrieve it, and there was nothing in the phone. The phone was even bad. I think it was not functioning. So for me, it's like this woman knows the importance of having a phone, and she wanted to feel good. She wanted to be counted amongst those who had phones, but that's the reality. And for some who have it, they don't have informed knowledge. That awareness is not there about how empowering some of these tools can be, that it's beyond just receiving your calls, sending, calling other people, sending text messages and all that. So there is need for more awareness. Then the issue of affordability is also there. Many of these women will not prioritize having some of these digital tools above having food on the table for their families. And then there's also the issue of safety. Women would, there's the issue of the challenge of cybercrime in Nigeria. We have the Yahoo boys who would always dominate the cyber cafes. You walk into a cyber cafe and you find maybe like 50 hefty looking guys. No grassroots woman will go there to say she's trying to do anything online. So there are no safe spaces for women to come online.
So many barriers. I'm hearing there's cultural barriers, resource barriers, the technology barriers, of course, training barriers. All those things are really, really important needs. And yet you're creating solutions, you're building those solutions in the face of those challenges. I would just encourage anyone who wants to connect with these extraordinary women and help support to make their visions reality, to connect with them, whether that's today, they have cards afterwards, or for those of you who are listening on radio, you can go on to worldpulse.com and you can look them up and find them and connect them, message with them online and further that. In addition, on World Pulse, we have a bulletin board, a resource exchange board. So anyone who has needs or offers, or the many, many women leaders like these 3 leaders here who are doing visions on all the issues imaginable, you can connect with them and make connections to support the work that they're doing. And of course, also with World Pulse, there's resources that you have at your tables, and there's ways that you can also support World Pulse, support our work to move forward, to reach more women, for the training, the supportive community, raising those voices, and basically making a digital revolution of women. And so we encourage you to join hands with us. But now we'd like to move into the Q&A and make sure that we have enough time for some questions from you all. So we're going to open up to the Q&A portion, and if you have a written question on your index card, please hold it up high so the staff can collect it from you. And we invite the audience members to come to the microphone to ask the question. And as you know, the questions at the Friday Forum is a benefit of City Club membership, and it's open to everyone. So before asking your question, just identify yourself as a City Club member, and we ask that you ask your question in 30 seconds or less. And I'll read one index card question as well. So let's see. Oh, I think we have Shafia at the microphone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shafia Monroe. I want to thank Sandy Pettit for inviting me to come be a questionnaire for, my question would be for Iyanna. Just briefly, Shafia Monroe, I'm the founder and president of the International Center for Attritional Childbearing. We're a nonprofit located here in Portland since 1991. We're an infant mortality prevention, breastfeeding promotion, midwife, and doula training organization. So we train around the world. And speaking about technology and digital, I was fortunate to meet Iyanna actually through Facebook, and our organization was able to support her through her midwifery journey here in Portland. So it's my first time meeting her after her wonderful experience of learning to deliver babies. And I also want to thank Jensine for her work with World Pulse. I was also one of the original board members back in 2004. And so this is Infant Mortality Awareness Month. It's September. We've lost 24,000 babies died before age 1 in the United States in 2011. Oregon does rate for a very high mature mortality health status. We have a better outcome than most states. But when it comes to women of color in Portland, we do see a disparity. We see that there's more black babies and Hispanic babies, Native American babies, and Pacific Islander babies not living to be 1. So I'm glad that Iyanna's here bringing that issue to Portland, because it's here even in our own city. So my question for you is, how do you think that the Obama health care can help reduce infant maternal mortality here in the U.S.?
Thank you for your question. My experience with the current Obama healthcare plan is that it's difficult to get care and to get insurance. I was living in Texas getting my training, and I could not get healthcare because the governor had not expanded Medicaid and doesn't plan to, and pulled millions of dollars. And so something that I would urge the Clinton administration with healthcare is to expand and make mandatory Medicaid throughout every single state. I know that we have state governments can make their own choices, but this is not up for discussion. I also feel that midwives have a hard time accessing the compensation they deserve from insurances, because although they're supposed to insure us, they find all types of different excuses and reasons to not pay midwives the way that they should. Midwives can help reduce the infant mortality and maternal mortality because we have a woman-centered model of care. And so I also urge the Obama administration to urge these health insurance companies to just make fair and equal pay for midwives to be able to do the work that they need to do, and also expand prenatal care and reproductive care throughout the lifespan, because if you are already unhealthy at 18, when you come and have a baby at 25, you're carrying all that life experience. So we need lifespan expansion of healthcare providing, and don't make us jump through so many hoops. Just give us the care that we need.
Hallelujah. And being familiar with Shafia's work, I think we should all get behind it. It's key for health in Portland. And the next question, please.
Hi, yeah. So I also want to just thank all of you amazing women for being here today. It's so inspiring to hear what you are doing. My name is Kali Thornlad, and I am co-founder and executive director of a nonprofit called Kairos PDX that is doing work in education to eliminate disparities. In Oregon, race is a greater predictor than socioeconomic status of academic outcomes of children. And we're particularly focused on African American children. I know that in the process of writing a new narrative for people or for children or for girls, there's a lot that you have to contend with and a lot that you learn along the way. And so what I wanted to know from you is, what is the most powerful lesson that you've learned in the course of doing your work to create a new narrative in the different communities that you work in?
So the question is, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned in creating a new story, a new narrative in the communities that you live in? And we are getting close to time, and we have one more question, so I just ask to keep it short, maybe a sentence or two.
Oh, well, I learned don't live in others' expectations. Because most girls in my community, they have lots of expectations from parents, and they're supposed to be very obedient, and they have to listen to parents, whatever they tell them to do. So they don't have much space to pursue their own dreams. Of course, each one of us has lots of potentials and a talent, but they don't have these possibilities and opportunity to pursue their own dreams and visions. So what I've learned is to go forward, whatever you are dreaming for. So what goal you have, what visions you have. So you have to believe yourself and not necessarily to live in others' expectations. Thank you.
Anyone else want to answer that?
I think the most important part about changing the narrative that we have is to tell the truth, the historical truth. Tell the truth that people of color are not poor because we've been poor. Tell the truth that we come from royalty, and that our knowledge and that our power and that our resources and riches were robbed from us. So I think that's the most important part about changing that narrative, is to tell the historical truth and the contemporary truth.
I would say creating balance, gender balance in decision making. And I want to add that because I know not too many people are comfortable with hearing about gender equality. I want to say gender equality should not be seen as a threat to the power that men wield. It is a call to partnership. So I think the world will be a better place when men and women can work together in partnership.
Thank you. Next question.
Hello, I just want to say I'm Mary Pivoto, and I'm a very proud member of City Club today, and I thank City Club and World Pulse for bringing these amazing women to speak with us today. I am the founder and executive director of Neighbors for Clean Air, a grassroots, primarily women-driven effort in our city to address air pollution. And while the context seems vastly different from yours, Olenik, I feel like there's so much we could learn from you, because I've been concerned about, and frankly sometimes really angry about, the unnecessary exposure and risk that our children face due to air pollution, especially in our city and state, poor children and children of color. And it seems to be that the thousands of asthma attacks and the ER visits and even the deaths that are attributed to this in our state are sort of the inconvenient, persistent reality of a city and state that really prides itself on sustainability. And I'm wondering, oftentimes the solutions to the persistent air pollution that still exists, the solutions are considered too much of a threat economically to implement. And as women and mothers, we know that's a false choice. And I'm curious, based on your experience, how have women in Nigeria, how have you seen the women's voice in the environmental movement change and improve the conversation And how do you work with men and others to do that? And what advice can you give us in a wildly different context, but in many ways with some of the seemingly intractable and entrenched problems that we face?
Okay, thank you. I'll do my best to be very brief. I can take forever to answer that question because, like I said, women's voices have been left out. And men, I don't have anything against men. All I'm saying is that just give women an opportunity to share their own solution because women are very close to nature. But because they don't have an opportunity to speak out, some of those solutions are never heard. So we're not there yet. We're still pushing forward and, calling and driving for change. But I'm sure that with increased awareness, because also sometimes the women have probably given up hope that it's a man's world. We can change that, and I'll say that it's all about not giving up. Believing that women carry the power, they wield the power, and they can arise and, take on that power and, use it to address some of these challenges, face some of these challenges. And I believe that it's not just time to give up. It's just time for us to rise up and prove that we can do this.
All right. My body is in complete goosebumps right now. I have shivers running up and down my spine. That is a call to action. I think we have, let's take one more question from the podium.
Okay,
yes, from the microphone.
my name is Smiti. I'm basically an Atlas Corp fellow from India, and I'm currently serving at the Nike Foundation. My question is very simple. You've talked about gender equality and involving men in resolving issues for women. However, the situation in northern Nigeria with Boko Haram being really terrible at the moment, does it impact your work? If it does, how are you tackling with it and the concerns of safety of women?
I'm not surprised that that question is coming. I've been a bit careful, to talk around the issues of Boko Haram because I've experienced some form of threat online because I'd been writing about some of the terrorism activities going on in my community. I stay in Kaduna, and Kaduna has witnessed series of bombings, that had cost, a lot in terms of the loss of lives. I'm not even concerned about the properties right now, but so many people have died. And I remember that in the heat of what was going on around Boko Haram in southeast Nigeria, I received a message on Facebook from a friend who said that the girls in this community need you. And all I could say to him is that I won't keep silent. I'll keep talking around these issues. But the important thing is that I must still stay safe. That is very important. And this is a secret for some of us here. At some point, I had to contact World Pulse to remove my name and my location from the website because it was like someone was trailing me all over the place. So the issue is it's there. We're at a loss. I know we are aware of the kidnap of over 250 girls who are still nowhere to be found at the moment. But like I shared with Yesene, you know, the Bring Back Our Girls campaign online, it seems to have, it's like it's fading away. Because so many people at the grassroots, so many people back in Nigeria are scared. A lot of women have received threats. And so it's like people are beginning to, you know, lose their voice power. But one thing that people around the world can still do, you know, to support people back in Nigeria is to not let the voice drown. You know, you could also use your voice, you know, to scream, shout, whatever you can do to make sure that, you know, terrorism does not thrive in any part of the world. It goes beyond Nigeria. I don't pray that that happens in any other country, but you know, there's this aspect of the Millennium Development Goal that is very silent, the call to global partnership. I want us to, you know, live that dream and see that it's not just about our country, it's not just about the little space you have in your home that is safe. The world is a global house. The world is a global house. The world is a global house, and let's see the world as that and do something.
Thank you. And as we wrap up here, thank you. And as we wrap up here, there's just one question from the index card, which is, what are the goals and visions for World Pulse? And in a nutshell, we've heard from these women here today. We know that when women leaders have a platform and they have a place for connection, they're going to create a major ripple effect. Just look at what they're doing in their communities. So our goal is expansion. It's to grow, to reach more women, from a network of 10,000 to a network of over 30 million, to create a vocal uprising of women in every single part of the world, leading local and global change. I love, Jampa, what you said about the emotional contagion, the contagion of sorrow, learning about what women are going through around the world, but also there's that emotional contagion of power and solutions that is even stronger. And the more and more women we connect, the greater this contagion will be, until the voices of women will be so loud, so powerful, so full of solutions and beauty that world leaders will no longer be able to ignore them. And we will be absolutely changing the world. And lastly, there's a quote from another woman of our community from the United Arab Emirates. And she wrote, "It is no exaggeration to say that by being a part of the World Pulse community, it has unmuted my soul." And as we walk away from today, just hold in your heart what is possible in a world where every single woman and girl's soul is fully unmuted. Thank you.
We have run out of broadcast time for further questions, and we'll have to stop for the day. As we close, please join me in offering our sincere thanks to Jensina, Jampa, Olanike, and Inanna. And thank you to the World Affairs Council for partnering with City Club of Portland for today's program.